Hey there, so today we have another beer talk, and in this video I'm going to be arguing that the Alchemist's Heady Topper is not a New England style IPA, or at least not the original New England style IPA, and also go through a history of New England style IPA. So first off, this comes from a conversation that I had at work today. Someone came in, sat down at the bar and asked for a New England style IPA. And I said, wow, how perfect. We actually have Hill Farmstead Susan IPA on tap right now. And he gave me a strange face and he's like, what's that? And this gentleman was certainly older than me, but I got into a mood of, listen to me, Sonny, I'm gonna teach you something about New England style IPA. And so I introduced him to that beer. But talking about Heady Topper, the beer, just flavor profile and appearance-wise, is just quite different to me from what I think of New England style IPA today. And you can actually go back to a video I did 5 years ago where I went to Vermont for the first time and I picked up a bunch of beer and did a blind taste test of Lawson's Double Sunshine, Hill Farmstead Abner, and the Alchemist Heady Topper, all double IPAs, and the Heady Topper stood out like a sore thumb. The beer is actually not that hazy. It packs tons of dankness. It has fruitiness to it, but it also has a stiff bitterness to it, which makes it different from specifically those beers that I did side by side, but also the beers I think of now. So when I think of New England style IPA now, I think of beers like Hill Farmstead Susan, Hill Farmstead Abner. These beers are golden, hazy, too full-on opaque. They're very fruity, and they're also quite stripped of bitterness, which is quite different from what I think of the Alchemist's Heady Topper to be. So let's go back into history. So imagine this is a Heady Topper can. The Alchemist opens up a brew pub, John Kimmick and his wife, and that's in 2004. So that's actually a long time ago in the history of New England style IPA. 2004, they open up that little brew pub. They're pumping out beers like Heady Topper, getting very popular local support. And then unfortunately, Hurricane Irene comes in 2011. So that brew pub is no longer there. Thankfully, you can still visit Stowe. Then we move on to 2010, and first time Hill Farmstead brews Abner. So very exciting. I don't have a bottle of it, but Lawson's Double Sunshine, 2010 as well. So 2004, 2010. And then quickly after, we get Treehouse opening up in 2012, and they started off only growler fills, no cans. I remember that. And then Trillium opens up. So I also was there when Trillium opened up in 2013. Only growler fills, no cans back then. And then Other Half comes along in 2013 as well. And interesting thing about Other Half is that they were not part of this game early on. They were actually more like the Alchemist. I remember those early beers, they were barely hazy. They were quite dank. They had bitterness, but dankness was really the big factor that I thought of when I thought of Other Half. But within the last few years, they've really turned a 180 and really have become part of the haze game, New England style IPA profile. Their beers have gotten extremely cloudy. They're fruity. They're stripped of bitterness. Nothing like the beers that they started off on. So now they're part of the club. But yeah, post in the comments below about your opinion. But when people mention New England style IPA and the history of New England style IPA, I really think that the beers we have now, that we think of New England style IPA, the DNA really comes from Hill Farmstead and Lawson's Finest and not the Alchemist. This doesn't take away from the Alchemist and their influence and how amazing Heady Topper is, but the beers, if you sit them side by side and have a flavor profile analysis and really think about these beers, Heady Topper is quite different from what we think of New England style IPA now. And I mean, we have some crazy breweries that are producing amazing beer, but when I think of New England style IPA, I think of these breweries and they're doing something a little bit different from what the Alchemist does. So until next time, guys, cheers. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Later.